Hi guys! So, I know it's been a while since the last update, but I'm at a place where I can kind of feel like myself and everything's okay and the house is in order, so I'm okay to just sit down and chat, talk, update, basically. So, the last time you saw me, if you watched my midwifery video, it ended with me going to my 40-week doctor's appointment. At that appointment, everything seemed good, and my doctor scheduled an induction date for the following week, and then she also had ordered a stress test for me to get done basically right after that appointment. So after I saw her and we scheduled the induction, I basically walked over to the family planning area at the hospital and I went to a room. They, hooked me up to all the monitors and stuff, hooked the baby up so we could see and hear baby's heart rate, hear my heart rate, or see mine. And basically we did the stress test. And, we were sitting there I was sitting there for a little while. And then one of the nurses came up and said that my doctor ordered for me to get an ultrasound done because my heart rate was not at like an even, it just wasn't even, so she couldn't tell what was normal because she wanted to be either like in like the medium high area or the medium low range, but I was like at high to the low, to the high to the low, like, so I was all over the place, and it wasn't like that's what it was doing the entire time. And, I had an irregular heart rate with my other two children, giving birth to them. Like, that wasn't not normal for me. So I was just like, whatever, sure, let's go get this ultrasound done. And I had just gotten that ultrasound, like, not even, like, less than a week ago before that. So she took me to a room within the family planning area, and that room was, I guess, where they do like the emergency ultrasounds. Like, it was as peaceful of a room as you could get. It was like the lighting was like warm and calming, and then when I lay down, they had like this moving LED display like on the ceiling that made it look like I was staring at a window outside. So it was nice. I wasn't too stressed out though. I was okay. The lady was doing all the ultrasound stuff. She got everything she needed. She said the baby was okay, but she needed to measure the head circumference of the baby, and she couldn't do that because the head was like in my pelvis. And I told her, I just got an ultrasound done, and the lady couldn't do it either because of that. And she goes, okay, well, I'm gonna tilt you a little bit, and she's gonna try to get the measurements. And she just told me to let me know if I was getting woozy or anything, and I never did. But basically, like, I was laying flat in the bed, and then she tilted me like this way so that my head was like going down. And basically, she was saying that gravity was gonna make the baby basically move so that she could get the measurement of the head. She got all that done, and then I left. I picked up some food for me and the kids because I didn't expect to be out for a couple hours. I thought it was going to be a quick trip to the doctor's. So I got the food, I went home, we had lunch, and then when my older son got home from school, I took him and my youngest out to the store so I could pick up like the last few things I needed that I wanted to take to the hospital with me. And at that time, like, walking around, I was sort of getting a little uncomfortable. Like, I wasn't like cramping or anything, but I could definitely feel like a pressure. But I was just like, oh, well, that's basically probably the baby just, going back into position after she was just moved. She was going back down, and I was basically just walking uncomfortable, and I was like in my like high boots. But like, I got what I needed. I went home, did our like usual nighttime routine and stuff. And then I went to bed. I went to bed pretty early. It's like 8 o'clock. And then I woke up at 11:30 having contractions. I woke up and I already knew like that's what was happening. So I took out my little contraction app. I don't even know if I still have it. Do I? I do. The contraction timer. I was going to write down my journal, so I kept it. But so they started. I woke up at like, it was 11:37 is when I like started jotting it down. And I just used, it's called a contraction timer, so this is what it would look like. And so they were already like less than 2 minutes apart, and they were like, is it 2 minutes apart, lasting like, is it 6 minutes or like, oh, it was lasting like a minute, 2 minutes, and they were 6 minutes apart on average. And that was just going on. So like after like the first 3 times, when I realized it was actually like really getting like the same thing was getting closer together, or I don't know how to describe it, but you know, when I realized the contractions were like, you know, constant, I went to go tell my husband, and he was just about to hop in the shower, but I was like, I think we need to go to the hospital. So he let his mom know, he got in the shower, and I basically just suffered through my contractions. And so after, like I said, I woke up at 11:30. At 12 o'clock, they were already, like, it jumped from the 5 minutes to, we're at for like 3 minutes, 2 minutes apart now. They're lasting 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes long, 55 seconds, like a minute 30 seconds average. And I'm like in pain, and I'm trying to, like, I'm just going through all the positions. I'm on my ball, I'm on the bed, I'm kneeling, I'm like standing, I'm laying, I'm like trying every position possible, and it's just it's so painful. And I hadn't, like, this is the first time I was going through this, because my first 2 kids were induced, so it's definitely an experience. I wish I'd remembered to get the comb. I think the first person I saw that from was Sarah Therese. I don't know. I don't know her full name, but she uses a comb to basically take the pain away from the contractions. And I wish I had remembered that, but like that just was not going through my brain as I was having the contractions. And we waited a while. I mean, we had to wait until his mom got to the house, and it was like maybe 1 o'clock then in the morning, and she got to the house because we needed someone to watch the kids, and she lives like 40 minutes away. She got to the house, and we got in the car, and we started going to the hospital right away. Michael had already like started packing the bags and stuff while we were waiting for her to get here, and I thought I was gonna have the baby in the car. Like, they were my contractions at 1 o'clock were already, 2 minutes apart. They were lasting about a minute long, but it felt like the baby was gonna come. I don't know. It got to the point where I was like, before I could feel the contraction coming, I couldn't help myself. I was just going, oh no, 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 no. And even before that, I was like moaning and groaning, and I was just like, I couldn't even help myself. So the hospital is like maybe 20 minutes away, and we get there. I stopped timing all the stuff on my phone, like, as soon as we got in the car. Well, actually not, like, when we got close to the hospital, I stopped. I couldn't do it anymore. And Michael went into the emergency room area, was like, I guess doing the whole checking in thing, whatever he was doing. Him and the security guard came back out. The security guard had the wheelchair that I went and sat in. We pulled up into the area, and I had to sign the papers and stuff. So I'm like going through contractions, and as soon as they stop, like, my eyes are closed while I'm having the contractions, and then I open my eyes, so it's like a whole different world that I'm in right now. Like, I'm just new surrounding, and I'm like, they're like, here, send the paper now, while you can. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, signing the papers, and then they wheel me to the family planning room, and I already, I get immediately onto the bed and everything. They're supposed to like do COVID tests when you get signed in. I don't remember if I did that or not. Like, I don't remember if they did that at the desk. That's really a blur to me. I just wanted to hurry up into the room. out of that wheelchair, because I was in like that one position in the wheelchair, and it was just like I wanted to move around or do something. I don't know. But I got there, and then I had to answer all the questions from the nurse, her little computer next to me, and I'm just like, ah. She checked me, and I was 8 centimeters. Oh, I forgot to mention that at my doctor's appointment earlier that day, I was still at 2 centimeters dilated, but my doctor said that I was like at a loose 2 centimeters. So I don't know how that's different from being a tight 2 centimeters. I don't know how all that feels and stuff, but basically I was still 2 centimeters, but I was loose. And now, like, a couple hours later that evening, or actually I guess it's the next day now, 'cause it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, I am 8 centimeters dilated, and they asked if I wanted an epidural, and I honestly wasn't planning on getting one. I kind of wanted to just go through it, and I wish I had told Michael like more that to support me in that decision, because at that point when I was in there, like, I was in so much pain from the contractions and stuff. I was like, yes, but like in my head I was like, isn't it too late? Like, I was already like 8 centimeters, and also I was like, I kind of just want to push the baby out. Like, I was like, when can I do that? Like, I feel like I can do that. I want to do it. I want to just hurry up and get this done. But I was like, then a contraction would hit, and I would be like, yes, let me get the epidural. So I got the epidural, and that was a struggle with like doing it in between the contractions, because they were so close together. So like, as soon as it stopped, we were like, all right, it's time, let's do this. And I like sat there, they did the whole thing, and that doesn't bother me ever. I'm totally okay with that. And then I started to feel better like immediately, pretty much. And then like not even like 5 minutes after that, the on-call doctor was like, all right, we need to try to get this baby out, because apparently my heart rate, or my blood pressure had dropped significantly, and then is just continuing to drop. So she was like, we're gonna start pushing the baby out. I had just gotten the epidural, and I basically, was still feeling like the stronger part of the effects of it. And so I was having a little bit of trouble, and like, of course, while I'm pushing, I'm like, dang, I wish I didn't get the epidural. But I think one of the nurses said that, that is common to happen after getting an epidural. So then I was like, well, dang, that made me think even more I shouldn't have got the epidural, because maybe this would be happening. But anyway, it was just what it is. I started pushing, and the doctor was starting to get a little bit more worried. So she was like, I'm going to try to use the vacuum. And then she was like, we need to get the operating room ready just in case we do a C-section. So more people started entering the room. And basically it was just like a rush of like different people coming in, like in and out of the room. And the doctor, telling me that I needed to push, we need to do this. She got the little vacuum thing, but it wasn't sticking. It kept on like slipping. So there was no suction from the vacuum. So I was pushing, and then the nurses are like, oh look, like she's got so much hair, like we can see her head, you can see all her hair, like you can do it. And like I'm trying to push, but the doctor was like, all right, one more time, we're doing this, you can't get the baby out, we're going. So I tried one more time, and the doctor's like, no, we got to do this. Everyone who like needed to be in the operating room had already made it down. So she's like, let's do this, everyone's here. They wheeled me out, and I'm like kind of looking at Michael, kind of looking at like everyone else, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what is happening? Like at that point, now I'm getting a little worried. And Michael's like, everything's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be all right. He's like, the doctor's got it, they're all gonna take care of you. And I'm just like, okay. And like they're wheeling me out, and they had to put me to sleep, because they really need to get it out right away. Oh, I totally forgot the main part of why they needed me to get the baby out was after my blood pressure was dropping. That wasn't like a huge concern for them. Concern was that they couldn't find the baby's heart rate. It had just disappeared. They couldn't find it again. So they were worried about, if the baby was alive or not. That's why I was also so worried. My blood pressure was not having me that worried. So anyway, I get into the operating room, and there's a lot. The pediatrician was already there. Him and like the anesthesiologist were the only guys in the room, and the doctor was like, "We need you guys to lift her up and put her in this bed." And I got lifted up, put in there. Like, I don't know why that's like the one thing that like really stuck to my mind. Like, was noting these two guys were in the room, and they were like, "We need you guys to lift her up." So they did that, and then obviously I got like the gas mask put on, and you know, I feel like no one was even paying attention to me at that point. Like, all the attention was to the baby, which I'm totally okay with. That's fine. Please, all the attention, please go to the baby. But like, no one was paying attention to me. Like, they put the gas mask on me, basically just left me, you know. And then one of the nurses started saying something to me, and then that's when I was just like, I guess that's when I was out. I woke back up, and I just immediately started crying. So there were two nurses with me, and one of the nurses was like, "Oh, it's just all the hormones. They're rushing. They're getting to you." She's talking to the other nurse, and I'm just laying there, like, kind of like tearing up, and they kind of like, "What is happening? Like, what's going on? Like, where am I?" I was like, "Where's the baby? Is the baby okay?" Like, but nothing's coming out of my mouth. I'm just kind of tearing up. I can't get anything out, and I'm still like half asleep, you know. And the nurse was like, "The baby's okay. We're just gonna let you sit for a minute, wake up a little bit more, make sure you're okay, and then we'll wheel you into the room with the baby and dad." And you know, I'm just trying to like get myself together, but I'm okay. And so eventually they wheel me into the room. It was like 7 o'clock on the dot. And they come in, and Michael's like, Michael walks in with the baby. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Because I'm like looking at my baby for the first time, and she's just so beautiful. And like, then I'm sad because I didn't get that like initial, you know, time with her as soon as she was born. And then he tells me that she was born at 4:09 in the morning, you know, and then I start like immediately crying, because I'm like, dang, I missed 3 hours of her life already. Like, it makes me so sad. Like, I'm being sad right now, but so that made me really sad that I didn't get that initial like introduction to the baby, and that I missed 3 hours of her life already. But they said she's okay. She's good. She's strong. She's beautiful. She's healthy. She had so much hair, and she still does. She still has so much hair. Everyone always comments on all her hair. So she immediately, I immediately get her, start breastfeeding. She has a little bit of trouble at first. She's like super tongue-tied. Both my kids are tongue-tied, but she's like super tongue-tied. And like the knot goes all the way like to the tip of her tongue. So she has a little bit of trouble, but eventually she catches on. She does good. She gets her feeding. You know, she sleeps. And that whole first day that I'm in there, I'm basically like going through all these emotions. Like, so I was going through like different emotions. I was sad. I was happy. You were happy too. You weren't even there. Yeah. Okay, my light is just going all over the place. Thank you.
Happy night. Mommy.
And this is why I want to do this sooner. I don't remember like completely exactly all the details. But so I had gotten the C-section done. They checked it. They checked the the incision area, and that was all good. So I was basically like in the bed most of the day, and I didn't get up until late in the evening. And I went to late in the evening, and the first thing that the nurse wanted me to do was to just get up and sit in the chair that was right next to the bed, just so I could get some movement going. And I'm not just laying in the bed. So I got up from the bed, and it was so painful. It was so painful. I started like crying as I was like stepping down, and like as soon as I put my foot down and like all my weight was on my feet, it was wild. And then I had to walk just like literally like 3 steps to the seat, and then I had to sit down, and that was like the hardest task. But I did it, and then I just sat in the chair. I breastfed the baby in the chair for a little while, and just sat and held her. And then I was just basically sitting there for a while, and then I would just tell Michael when I wanted the baby, and then when I, needed the baby back in the bed. And then I would get up, get on the bed, try to go to sleep. And then sometime later in the middle of the night is when the nurse was like, all right, I'm going to take the catheter out, you need to get up and walk to the restroom, and so you can get cleaned up and stuff. Because they were supposed to do that. Actually, this is the second day. They were supposed to do that the day before, and they didn't. One of the nurses kept saying they were going to do that, and they never did. I don't know. I didn't mind, because I did not want to stand up. The thought of having to walk all the way to the bathroom was like, ugh, don't want to do that. But, this nurse is the nurse that's helping me. As soon as I, got into the hospital, I was about to give birth and stuff, and, she helped me give birth. This nurse was, basically just with me, and she, I felt totally comfortable around her. She was nice. Very helpful, very informative. But she helped me, or walked with me into the bathroom. It wasn't too bad. It was painful, but I did it by myself, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Anyway, we did that, got cleaned up, and I was surprised. I guess I should be surprised, but I was surprised because it was a lot easier to clean up since I didn't naturally give birth. Because, with both my kids before that, the cleanup was messy. Really messy. And so I was, I guess a little surprised, but it wasn't bad. And there was no pain, which was amazing. Obviously still bleeding, but it wasn't painful or anything. After that, I was able to get up out of the bed more, walk around a little bit. I sat up, would eat, and I could just get out of bed. It took time, but I could do that. Basically more after I took the pain medication, and then I was okay to do that, because without it, it was unbearable. Okay, so I'm sorry, I was zoning out a little bit, trying to think about what was happening, and I decided to just go ahead and check my notes. So she was born at 4:09. Oh, careful. The 20th is the day she was born, and so at that night is when I got out of bed and sat in the chair. The 21st, which is the next day, I did the bathroom, and then the doctor checked me again, and I was good. Baby Yuna went. Oh, did I even mention her name? Her name is Yuna. And
Baby,
Yeah, Yuna, baby Yuna.
baby,
So they checked, she, did the hearing and rubella test, and she passed all that. I had my first meal. So we left the hospital, on the 22nd. So we were there for 2 days. But that's basically my birthing story. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were here at the house with the 2 boys, and when we got home. And she looked good. She's such a sweet girl. Okay, so basically she's doing good now. But I was having issues with breastfeeding, my breast milk not coming in, and I was doing all that extra stuff, but I'm only producing like maybe 2, sometimes 3 ounces, and that's with both breasts combined. And she's been wanting like 4 ounces feeding, so every time I try to feed her, she's just still hungry. And at nighttime she would only go to she'd wake up every hour. So that would be me only getting like 20 minutes of sleep in between feedings. And that was starting to get a little rough. So, and she'd also fallen off her growth chart. And so her pediatrician actually recommended that we supplement a little bit of formula in. We did that. She was doing well. I would basically give her a bottle right before bedtime, and she would sleep great. But then she would wake up every hour again after that, because I was just not feeding her enough. So now I'm at the point where I basically feed her once in the morning, once in the evening, and then like and then once in the middle of the night, and she's good. So 3 times a day, and then she's still also breastfeeding between that. So that's been working well. She's been doing good, and she's she's back on the growth chart and growing, and she's doing good and all that. But that's basically my little birthing story. It was definitely a different experience from the first 2.
by me.
Okay, I'll play with you in just a minute. Obviously, I was having contractions. I didn't get induced, and I had the C-section, a totally unplanned C-section. But also after that, a week after the baby was home, we had a tree fall in our house, and it was on like the windiest, rainiest day of the year. We had the water was dripping from our bedroom, so we had to basically get like the tree removed out the house, and then had to wait forever for people to come and fix the roof, or not the roof and our ceiling and stuff. So I was sharing a room with the kids, and that was it was really hard on me. And that, plus just thinking about
Yes.
So basically waiting for our house to get fixed, that was in our room that the baby was also staying in. So I had to stay, me and the baby stayed in the kids' room. So dealing with that, on top of the fact that I had a C-section and was still recovering from that, and the fact that I just was still sad occasionally about not having those first moments with the baby. And like I wouldn't say I was depressed. I was still so happy. I was in love, and I was just I would look at her and I'd be like, I was so happy, but I was still like in the back of my mind like, dang, maybe if I hadn't gotten that epidural, things would have been different. But eventually I was like, it is what it is. This is her story. This is our story that we did, we went through together. And so it's a little different, and that's okay. I'm okay now. I'm like not thinking too much about that. Everything happens for a reason. So basically, after I got over all that and was feeling like myself, and then the house just got fixed 2-3 weeks ago. we got our room back. So it has definitely been a journey. But I am in my space now, and we have room, and all the stuff that was in our bedroom is not all over the house, so the house seems somewhat cleaner. I may, baby's getting more sleep. I'm getting a little bit more sleep, so I feel like I can actually do things. I can sit down and I can talk without thinking like, oh my god, there's dishes in the sink, or oh my god, there's laundry that needs to be done, or like, I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to hurry up and get this story out there before I forgot everything. Thank you for staying if you had stayed through the whole thing and listened. I would love to know more of your experiences, if you had experienced anything similar, how you guys felt, because I was saddened, definitely saddened, after having the emergency C-section, and just having to be put down and not, meeting my daughter for a couple hours after she was born. It was saddening. So, anyway, wouldn't love to hear relatable stories, because I hope no one else is saddened by these events, but I know people have relatable stories, so I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. Thank you for staying, and I will hopefully have another update or another video sometime soon. That's all I got. Thanks for listening. Bye. Okay, so Miss Yuna decided to wake up, so I wanted you guys to meet her. Here she is. She is 3 months and, is it 2 weeks now? 3 months and 2 weeks old. Say hello, Miss Yuna.
Hey.
Yeah, and there's little Kaido. Oh, that was a stinky toot.
Hey.
Here she is. Hello, Miss Yuna.
Yeah, maybe. Hey.
She's so sweet. I know. I can't get enough of her as beautiful girl. I know. Okay. She's hungry. I gotta go feed her.
Yeah.
All right. Say bye.